All right, so here we have a Blue Protocol interview. So, interview with the franchise lead, Mike Zadorojny. I probably butchered that really bad. But yeah, they did an interview with the Blue Protocol database, which is like a kind of like a wiki almost, in a sense for Blue Protocol. And they've been going for like a few years now, since like 2019, and they've been talking about like several different things in this interview that seem to be pretty interesting for the global version coming out later next year. First question that they have, which I think is on a lot of people's minds or has been talked about quite a bit, is censorship. Yeah, it's a huge topic in the West. Can you confirm if elements of the game will be changed in Blue Protocol to fit the Western scene? If yes, may you please expand on this subject? So Mike answered this with all this text, a lot of it. So they went pretty in depth. So I'll talk at a high level in terms of the goals of what we're trying to accomplish in this, and then we'll go back down into the specifics. I think censorship comes in different ways, and the level of censorship is usually where we find disagreements within the community. So there's going to be a lot of, back and forth with it. Some things that are fine, some things not so great. So generally speaking, when we were talking about censorship for Blue Protocol, I want to bring Shimuka-san's vision for the game. That's a person from Bandai Namco that's developing, and for the Western players. However, there are layers we have to think about from a cultural, legal, and regulatory perspective. We want the content and the events to be the same one-to-one. So they'll basically function the same, but there might be some things to kind of cover up or whatever. When we talk about changes, we're looking at a perspective from bringing the game to as many people as possible. We are targeting a T rating since it is an anime game, and generally speaking, anime is much more approachable for the teen market unless you start going towards certain extremes. So I'm guessing, hentai, little pervy stuff. But this game is not really into those extremes. The general changes that we're looking at is how do we make that approach to this game? A change for us in the West, specifically in the character creation menu, the female characters will no longer have the physic shake button available. Yeah, so right now in Blue Protocol JP, when you're creating a character, this goes for the males as well. There's a button that you can press when you're choosing the body type that jiggles them a little bit. Yeah, 1 out of 10. Bad censorship. But yeah, they're going to take the physic shake button away because generally these are accepted in Japan, which apparently they do with multiple titles over there. But however, in the West, it can be uncomfortable for our players, and that's where we'll step in to say, hey, can we make a slight change for this? So, I mean, it kind of makes sense that, it doesn't really need to be there. It isn't that big of a thing. I think the physics will still be there. You just can't jiggle them in the character creation. At least that's what it comes off as. But then another change, one of the other changes that we have talked about, which players have already seen, is about making some changes to the outfits of the children characters to make some outfits less revealing. These things are not necessarily going to detract from the gameplay experience or from the story that is going on. But generally speaking, we'll make it so when parents or friends are playing with other teens, they're not necessarily going to be pulled out of the environment or the game's perspective. So from a censorship point of view, again, we're looking at what do we need to hit from the requirements of all the entities. The country legal requirements and the regulatory ones, we're trying to stay away from particularly censoring what the game is or the story is because we want the vision to be the same from the Japanese version to the West. So basically it looks like they're going to censor some things here and there, but it's going to be too big. Just like that physics shake thing. This thing with the outfits, I don't know if it's talking about the children NPCs in the game. I don't remember anything being provocative or revealing in any way. But maybe they're talking about the smaller body type that you can choose for your own player character, but it doesn't seem to be really specified. I don't know, maybe there's something else later in the game that is more that way. To be honest, if they remove jiggle physics entirely, the game is gonna lose so much money. This is all because of the jiggles. It's all gone. They're gonna jiggle the money away. They're really gonna get stuff thrown at them, just like me there. In our gameplay demo available below, you may notice that there were only 2 body presets available for players to toggle. Whereas in the Japanese client, there's a third small body size preset. Oh my god. We can only assume that changing the body preset would be to avoid censoring current and future revealing outfits. Censorship is also tied into the teen rating and regional restrictions and may come down to a would you rather scenario. Do you want less censorship and fewer regions available to players, or more censorship, meaning more regions available to players? So basically what this is saying in this note is that maybe like the global version won't have the third body type. Maybe. But this is just based off a demo, so it's really hard to say, and it isn't concrete at all. Let's see. Awesome, that helps out a lot to understand the reasons behind censorship. It is very difficult to publish the game while focusing on the regional restrictions. No lolly and no shake, no play. No lolly characters can't have it. Yeah, I don't know if that really confirms that the preset won't be there. It's just a demo, but yeah, hard to say. What were the factors on deciding to delay the global release of Blue Protocol from 2023 to now 2024? Well, that's a pretty big question. We already have received information that other versions of the game, such as Taiwan and Korea, respectively, will be releasing this year. Can you comment on the reasons behind the delay? All right, let's see what that was. Yeah, so everyone kind of got delayed a little bit based on what the developer team was focused on in terms of the Japanese development work with a lot of balance changes. The feedback which came from the FNT Final Network test. So I'm sure that your community group has seen all the specific changes that came out of that, such as changes to the adventure boards and everything else. Yeah, there's a lot of big changes, like with how some of those worked and the different nodes and things. Things that really helped to show that the value of player time was important. We were also super excited about that because this was also feedback they were providing from the Western perspective to the development team as well. So that kind of had a knock-on effect in terms of everyone's schedule. Yeah, so I'm guessing because all of these like changes and other changes that are going to be happening, they're kind of like delaying the Western release to try to catch up to those changes as well and make sure it's all translated properly and getting things, in a nice order, I guess. Some additional things that we have to take into consideration is that we are trying to bring this game into the Amazon ecosystem, which means if you have a problem and you need customer support, we need to be able to support you. There are things that we need to be able to integrate to. Okay. There's also another layer which we work with Amazon security. I want to make sure that not just the server, but also the client has those certain levels of protection. Therefore, that when we release the game with the Western version, it is a robust system where players feel like they have some sense of safety and security. The game should be secure enough to play so that the players don't feel the negative impact of people trying to take down the servers. So basically, there's a whole bunch of things that they need to do on their side of things, and just like because of changes with the game, they have to like make up for that and get that all nice and neat. Basically, just finalizing everything for the global release, kind of like the usual kind of deal. So you're referring to the anti-cheat system of the game. That is part of it. And obviously, Amazon Security takes things very seriously. Then there is also a thing about localization as well. It's a multifaceted answer. We are looking at the fact that we announced English and Japanese voiceovers for the West with technical support for Brazilian, Portuguese, Spanish, German, and French. But we're also looking at potentially other languages that we can support as well in the West, which factors into the schedule. Yeah, there's a lot more languages that they have to deal with other than, just Japanese, for the JP version. We've got what we announced, and we're looking at additional things as well because we want this game to be really accepted, welcomed by as many people as possible. It's an MMO, which is a large online environment, and those games need communities. This is where groups like Blue Protocol Database are super important to us because you guys are a community, you're a direct line to player feedback. This is the kind of stuff that will help make the game better. That's our general thought process. Yeah, so that's pretty straightforward stuff like localization, security, and keeping up with updates. Yeah, it seems pretty honest there. And no shake, no buy, no shake, no buy. It's not like you're buying; it's free. There's been a strong demand for the C service to be added to the list of already unannounced countries under the umbrella of the global version. They expand on why specific regions are not included, and is there a possibility to add those later on? Alright, so yeah, I know plenty of people have been asking me about this. Oh my god! Why do they keep throwing stuff at me? What did I do? No shake, no shorties, don't play. Oh my god. God damn it. God damn. Amazon apologist scum. Yeah, I guess. I guess so. I mean, I don't care much about that stuff personally, but I know a lot of people do. All right, but yeah, people have been asking about this a lot with the C stuff on some of my videos or even in stream. I've been playing Blue Protocol. It's not necessarily about leaving out regions. The regions that we are publishing are the regions that we have worked with Bandai Namco on. I can't talk to you too much about what is going on right now, but we're working with Bandai Namco on some infrastructure things that will allow it. Our goal is that so everybody, regardless of where you are playing in the Western version, has access to quality ping. The right number of players to make the game feel alive and can interact in a larger global community. We'll have a lot more to talk about this, hopefully around the closed beta test time. We do understand that countries like Australia and New Zealand generally get left out in global space. We're thinking about them just as much as we are thinking about how a South American and Brazilian market work. We were thinking about that from our perspective and providing that level of feedback to Bandai Namco. Yeah, so in the notes that I was about to say, it looks like Amazon is trying to expand into those regions. Ultimately, this is not 100% on Amazon. They would need to get proper approval from Bandai while following the desired region's regulatory requirements. Yeah, so if you add more and more regions, there's going to be more regulations, maybe even more censorship, blah, 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 that they would have to follow. So just doing one thing at a time. So maybe the C region will happen, with Australia, New Zealand, and whatever uh, in that spot. So there's still hope. There's still hope for those that are living there. But I guess still could just try to VPN instead, either for the JP or the global version. It might be just fine. I feel like the global version will be a little bit more lax if you try to use a VPN. But who's to say? Who's to say? All right, so next one. Will players from different regions, such as NA and EU, be able to play with each other on the same server? For instance, MMOs usually have multiple servers, and Blue Protocol in Japan has one mega server where the entire region plays on. Can you go into detail regarding the server structure? Kind of looking back at the previous answer tells you what our goals are. I can't give you a definite answer on this one. We'll have a lot more to talk about in the closed beta test. This might be an indicator for a true mega server. For example, if you reside in California, US, have a friend in France, EU, you'll be able to play with one another. Yeah, because they were talking about how they want there to be a larger global community and the right number of players to make the field game alive. So yeah, it's kind of showing that everybody will be able to play together on one server instead of it be split up. That's actually huge. That's pretty huge. Yeah, I wonder, I'm guessing, there's probably going to be technically several servers, but it's going to be connected with the mega server. I wonder if there's going to be, kind of like a shard system or something, or you get, moved around in the background with, different, I don't even know what you call it, kind of like lobbies or rooms, because you don't, see everybody. Because I think there's, limitations with each of the different spots. There's 100 people that you can see. Yeah, like a channel system. There'll be channels for the town where you can see 100 people in each channel at most. And then there's I don't know, 32 in the open world sections or whatever I think it was. Something like that. Can you confirm a date on when players can expect the closed beta? Will there be more than one testing phase before the official global release? Fortunately, not at the moment. Where we are right now is we actually have an internal playtest coming up to test the scale of servers to make sure we have data running through the pipes. Once we pass the internal playtest, the closed beta is right around the corner. That's our next big step. So we're not far off. Yeah, I imagine the closed beta will happen sometime at the end of the year, most likely, and the game will come out early next year, most likely. Since it was supposed to come out this year, so I don't think it got delayed by too much, in all honesty. So probably at the latest summer of next year, and the closed beta either the end of this year or maybe early next year. Kind of depends on how fast they go. Um, I cannot commit to a date yet because we basically need to make sure we got the build locked down. Once that is complete, we'll be going public and start to make sure people know when the closed beta is. We'll also be picking up the last minute stragglers who did not yet sign up on our official website. All right. Yeah, you can sign up still right now for the Western version if you want to on the Amazon website for Blue Protocol. Put the link for you here. Don't worry. Yeah, there it is. Can you still tell us how many testing phases we should expect, or does it depend on the feedback you receive after the closed beta? Everything is going to come down to feedback, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, it seems like they're going to be huge on that. Because, I mean, they took feedback from the JP closed beta test, even. Or if we did not successfully prove something from a technical perspective, all the tests we're doing are generally driven by technical need, but also because we know we want to give player feedback so that there is kind of a community need as well, or want to get player feedback. If we're able to hit the technical perspective of it, then it allows us to advance to the next tier. But also we need to make sure that we are listening to the players' feedback just as much as Bandai Namco was listening to the Japanese feedback during the final network test. I want to make sure that Bandai Namco is hearing the voices of the Western players in terms of if there's something really off, or if there is something that we are really worried about, to make sure we're taking things under consideration as we head towards launch. Yeah, it seems like they're trying to be very careful. I don't know, I feel like this person is being honest, but like, who knows if like Amazon as a whole feels this way, or if they're just trying to push out an agenda to get the thing done or not. But it feels like they're trying to take this more seriously and do it well. Because I think, well, with Lost Ark, they didn't do so hot, if I recall. Like, people made a big deal about Lost Ark, but I'm not sure if it was like on Amazon or on Lost Ark or both or what. Because I didn't play the game personally. But I know, like, with previous Amazon games things, they haven't done as hot, at least not right off the bat. So hopefully with Blue Protocol, they do a good job with it. Can you give the world any specifics or hints on which quarter of 2024 the Western release will happen? Perhaps early, summer, or holiday of 2024? Of course, we know that this can change depending on player feedback, as you mentioned previously. Honestly, the only reason why we didn't think we could do 2023 is because we were looking at the timeline between closed beta, open beta, going towards launch. So that means it's probably going to be early. Like I was saying, probably early 2024. Ultimately, it's going to come down to what the reaction looks like in the closed beta, and what the technical reaction looks like, and what the data really looks like. It's going to come down to quality first. We want to make sure that players are going to have that awesome experience. Again, any of the changes that we were talking about for the Western version, even on the monetization side, are making sure that players are going to have the best possible experience starting from day one. Yeah, I think the cosmetic gacha right now for the JP version is going to get a rework in some way, but yeah, that was bad. The cosmetic gacha is so bad. Gachas is so bad. I don't know about the rest of the monetization. I don't think it's too crazy, but yeah, that's like a main focus, and it's not so hot. Running for the long haul, Shimuka-san has got the vision for what he wants to do with the story years in the making, so we want to be able to support that vision. I want to make sure that we're reaching out to the players, fostering that community, working together with that community, listening to the community, and then providing all that feedback to the developers at Bandai Namco. Yeah, so that basically just kind of confirms, like, as long as things go smoothly and isn't like a disaster with these beta tests, expect early or summer. I know, for instance, in Lost Ark, the Amazon games, they brought Lost Ark, there it is. They specific changes that differed from the Korean version and made it less pay to win. How will the monetization system differ from Japan and the Western version of Blue Protocol? So I guess that was a good thing then? I don't know. People made like a deal about Amazon. I don't know. Maybe it was more just like Lost Ark in general. I think even with the less pay to win, I think it was still highly pay to win, I thought. Or like a lot of that. Or maybe just like time sink crazy. I don't know. There's some things that we were talking to Bandai Namco about. The one thing that I'll mention right now, since a lot of it is visible with the Japanese version. We're bringing the Battle Pass system over, also known as the Season Pass. It's going to be very similar. We're also doing Founders Packs for the Western release, similar to what we've done for Lost Ark. There'll be some cosmetics for the players. I guess there will be Founders Packs, there's that. Also, we're still bringing over the gacha. Okay, so they are bringing the gacha, which we're calling the Capsulator. Okay. That's a weird name. And that will include the cosmetic items. However, the one thing that we are adding specifically for the Western version is that there will be a cap. So after X number of purchases, you're guaranteed a box with a top rank item. And thank God, because yeah, the JP version doesn't have a pity system. Oh my God. Okay, so they're going to add a pity. That is huge. Okay, it's not going to be like you're completely betting on random odds to get the item that you want, or there will be a hard cap at some point. Thank God for that. We're still keeping the BPP system, that's the Blue Protocol point system, where, yeah, so you can either convert duplicates or cosmetics from the gacha boxes into secondary currency, which you then can purchase specific items you want from the BPP shop. Yeah, how that works is, yeah, you just convert the stuff, and then you can purchase the higher tier items guaranteed, but you need a lot of those points. A lot of those points. This interview was conducted before the reveal of the Japanese pity system. Okay. So they are going to add a pity system, or they did. However, based on Mike's explanation, the Western version might receive a different pity system. Okay. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so I guess both sides are gonna have a pity system now. That sounds like a two-layer system where we can exchange for things that we want through the BPP shop on top of having a pity system. So one thing that I do need to caution about, and we'll have a lot more to talk about as we get closer, is that the price points are not necessarily going to be the one-on-one crossing over from Japan, okay? Our core values are that we want the monetization system to be fun and fair. Fun meaning that if you want to look at a certain way a certain way by purchasing cosmetics, you totally can. But also fair that if you make a purchase and I don't, that it doesn't negatively impact the player experience. Want to make sure that you can play the game from the beginning to the end without having the pressure to purchase. You can do all the raid and endgame content if you're not buying in. You could still have a fair chance against somebody who's buying into things, but to make sure that the playing field is as level as possible. Okay, that's great to hear. I know that the gacha customs do not have stats on them, so that's a relief. There are some convenience items that I'll say that can come out of there. That's where the line gets a little blurred. Generally speaking, we're trying to make it so that it feels as fair as possible and that it does not detract from the gameplay experience. Yeah, right now with the gacha system, there are some convenience items that can help with upgrading your gear, but it doesn't give you anything extra with upgrading your gear. And it also doesn't allow you to get like the best kind of gear either. There's like a certain limit to it, but it helps with like the in between middle of the road with getting your gear to have like more slots and things, but it doesn't give the maximum amount of slots. You still have to RNG roll that. So yeah, we'll have to see as the game continues and the global version as well. Once Blue Protocol is released in the Western market in 2024, will the patch parity be between the Western and Japanese service? That's basically like, will Western version be on the same patch as Japanese or not? Like, will it be behind? Yeah, how far will the gap be between the two regions? Ideally, we are as close as possible so that when they launch something in Japan, that we are a fast follow, if not even on the same exact time. That's really good. That I'd love to be on the same patch. So then it's like, oh yeah, I might as well just be on the JP because that's like 6 months ahead or a year ahead. Yeah, thank God for that. There's a logistical challenge with that, and so there are still unanswered questions as we are working through this. Localization being one of them, cultural sensitivity things, and regional challenges as well. Goals to be as close as possible. What that's going to look like in practice, we still don't know yet. So they want to try to get exact time, but we don't know if that'll happen. Hopefully it's like at most like a week or like a few days, if that. So it seems like they're going to be on top of it. So it isn't going to be something way, beyond like some other games have done. This is the final question in our chapter. What are your long-term goals and wishes that you have for Blue Protocol in the West? The launch of Blue Protocol in the West is an opportunity to really bring a new world and a new IP to a fan base that is excited about anime. Shimuka-san is super looking forward to this. He's looking at this as a global brand, not something necessarily that is Japan only. That's good to hear. I mean that from not just a game perspective, but an IP perspective. Amazon Games just invested in this project. We are super excited about it, or just as invested. The characters, the world, and the art style is so engrossing, so we're looking for other ways for fans to just connect and attach to this IP. It seems like with Japan lately, with a lot of the gaming companies, they're more looking towards the global branding and not just sticking with JP, like Japan only. Like the isolationist kind of ideology, they're kind of branching out more, if not like all of global, at least some more regions beyond their one space. The game is just the beginning. Day one is going to be multiple chapters of content for the Blue Protocol database fans who have been paying attention to all the Japanese live streams. We already know they have 4 months of content coming up. A new class is coming, a new chapter, and all of the stuff is going to be coming to us as well. We're super invested in terms of making sure that we're continuing the vision and legacy of this game, and then extending it beyond just the game. So leaving you with that little nugget for the future. Ooh. Extending it beyond just the game. So I'm going to try to do some more stuff Blue Protocol wise that isn't just focused on game. What does that mean? Like a Blue Protocol anime? Or something like that? Or, I mean, that could be a lot of different things with just the game. But that's interesting to hear. Yeah, very happy to hear that. Once again, thank you very much. Those were amazing answers to our difficult and somewhat tricky questions. It's not tricky. These are questions that players want to know. It's hard to provide answers or clarity to everything when we're still working on it. Fair, fair. We also want to make sure that certain things are buttoned up on our side before we announce it, or there's a roadmap that we're trying to accomplish. There is a plan that, and we are working as hard as we can. We do understand that asking players to be patient now that the game is out in Japan is pretty hard to do. Fair. That's true. I've been playing a little bit myself, but just on the side a little bit. Just know that the Amazon Games team is super excited about this project. We're really glad that you came to hang out and be able to play. Especially one of the first to see the Western version of the game. We're still working hard on the localization. We're still working hard on the Westernization themes just to make it more approachable. Furthermore, we want everyone in the West to be able to play this game, and we love it just as much as the Japanese players. Nice, nice. Again, thank you very much. I understand you're trying to make the best decisions for the game. We love Blue Protocol, and I also see that you have a strong passion behind it too. That's what I was seeing here. At least from this individual, a lot of passion. It sounds like, if we're just trying to take this at the value, without knowing anything on the inside, it seems like everybody else is also passionate. The Bandai Namco, Amazon as well, at least as much as they can be, trying to listen to the player feedback. That has definitely showed with the player feedback, at least from Bandai Namco, because they've been on top of getting updates done, listening to the player feedback and implementing things almost like right away. And they're continuing still with like other content with the classes and stuff that they mentioned. Like, I'm definitely looking forward to what they have in the future if they keep listening to the feedback and don't like eventually cut us off. Be like, oh, we're just gonna do our own thing, which a lot of companies just do. It seems like it's either like half and half with some companies, or it's just fully ignoring. They're just gonna do what they want to do, try to make some money, blah blah blah. Oh yeah, and keep us honest. I don't expect you guys to always agree with the things that we're doing. I don't expect you guys to always like the things we are doing. But give us the feedback. We need to hear it. This game is for the fans. It's made by people who are fans of the game, so we want to make sure we keep that as close as possible. Final thanks that we have goes out to the community. Those questions that we got were directly from the Blue Protocol Database Community Discord. And it's a pretty good Discord, too. We're very fortunate to have the largest Western Blue Protocol community. Big thanks to the community. You guys are awesome. The reputation of Blue Protocol Database even proceeded before you showed up today. Yeah, it's been going around for a while. It's actually building up pretty good. Again, this all goes back to the level of engagement that we've seen on the Discord servers and everything else. We're excited to be able to share this game with all of them. We are the stewards of this franchise with the Western players. That means we need to be listening to the Western players as well. So thank you for helping us hear their voice. Hell yeah. The fans want shakes. Yeah, we want the shake. Give us the shake. We want the physics shake. And that was a pretty good article. I mean, glad that they were able to get that with Amazon directly. Yeah, I think this is a good sign, at least for now. We'll see once we get around to the closed beta test. It should be announced like soonish, because they've been like ramping up more with like doing marketing and some announcements on like Twitter, or now called X or whatever, and just like other things out there. But definitely like keep an eye out for the global release if you're interested, for sure. That's it for now.